Kache here, coming back to you now. So we're gonna get started with this hunt. Now, as you can see, I'm wearing just the standard gear that they issue to us. I'm also, in regards to my setup, I've got only the standard gear that we should remember. I for inventory. I am not here to teach you the controls. If you have not played the tutorials, close this video, go play the tutorials now, so that when you come back you understand how the inventory works and how we place things, how we access them, and all that, because that's not our job here today. Our job here today is getting out and taking care of our first missions that we have, our first mule deer missions. Alright, so now I have started out at the border lodge, which is in the northern part of Loggers Point. If you have a permit for white-tailed deer, starting out at 7 a.m. down at the South Lodge is real good, because there's lots of whitetail down there when you just come out of the lodge until you get up to about the middle, about halfway to the Triple Lakes. But in this case, because we're only after mule deer, we're going to take off from up here, because this is the mule deer end of things. Okay, the northern part of the map, and I'll pull up the map to show you that. So we're up here at Border Lodge, and all of this right here, all the way down to these Triple Lakes, is all mule deer territory. The path that I'll actually be walking at this point, we go up here, we click on draw, I'll be traveling down to the small lake and then up and over to the Triple Lake. Now that's it. Now my purpose is to fulfill these missions for this first hunt, remembering that we can take a doe in order to fulfill that mission. And then possibly, depending on how much time it's taken, from there maybe see if we can manage to take a buck and do the next mission, get the payment from that mission. So I want to show you how you can activate the missions from in-game. But in any event, let's get out of the map here and let's get started. Now I'm just going to walk. Alright, I'm hitting Q so that I can just walk hands-free as I head out of camp here. It's a fair ways up, before we get into anything we really got to worry about. And so what we're going to do is just walk. We're not worried about our noise. We're not worried about the wind. We're not worried about any of that stuff. Now, in your bottom right-hand corner, you'll see press I for inventory. As long as we see that, we are considered to be within the boundaries of the lodge. The moment that changes into that symbol right there, says Loggers Point, and you see it points northwest, well, the wind tends to be a northwest wind here. Now, I don't know, honestly, if that's a coincidence with the icon or if each map shows the prevailing wind like that. It doesn't mean the wind blows from that direction all the time, but it does mean it's the prevailing wind. Now, here's the archery course here. We're going to be going up a little bit farther. I actually hunt this archery quite a bit, coming through with mule deer and stuff with my main account. What we want to do is just work our way right on in here, and we're just going to walk. And people might be surprised that I'm not crouching and creeping along. Well, the thing is that we've got a couple of things we've got to deal with. The first is we stink. Because we don't have any kind of scent suppression, and because we don't have any kind of specialized clothing, we're able to be smelled very easily by the animals, and we also stick out like a sore thumb visually. Okay, so I mean, you can forget trying to sneak up on things unless you know a bit about sneaking. So what we're going to do here is we are literally just going to walk right up as we go. We're going to cross the road here, and when we get on the other side, we're just going to keep right on and walking right in that low area. White-tailed deer like low areas. Mule deer like water that has woods around it. And if they can't be where there's water and woods together, they will stick to the woods at the edges of the fields. I'm walking along because what I want is I want a doe or a buck to alert. I want them to give a snort or give a bleat, and that will tell us that they're in the neighborhood. All right. And when that happens, we're just going to stop. Down on this end of the map at 7 a.m., there's not a lot of deer moving. There we go. All right. Now, we got that. That was a doe that bleated. So we're just going to stop moving for a second, get an idea where she is, and I'm going to pull up my bleat call. I'm going to crouch down, and I'm going to call to her. I just want her to vocalize again. Okay, so she's over there on the hillside in the trees. So as you see, mule deer, like I say, they like to stay in the trees at the edge of the fields, and that's what she is. She's up there, kind of making her way through. We'll pull up the binoculars and we'll take a look, see if we can spot her up there. She's probably too far away for us to get a look at now. One of the things that just does not seem to be clearly explained anywhere, and you really got to eventually figure it out yourself, is on our hunter mate here, our little arrow that represents us. Well, we're the white dot at the center of the arrow. But the very point of the arrow at the boundary of the white border is approximately 45 to 50 yards. Okay? So when she made her noise, she was about twice, she was like about the same length as our arrow out from our arrow. So she was about 100 yards out. So now she's probably coming in about 50. She's probably just showing up on the hillside up there now. Oh, but before we do that, did you hear what I heard, guys? Did you hear that? There's a buck with her. So we're not going to move in. We were going to move in initially, but instead we're going to go back to calling, because we might actually get a shot at a buck, guys. But see, the second she alerted, she heard me moving, I stopped. She doesn't know what I am. She wasn't close enough to smell me when we were on the good side of the wind. See, because we were moving into the wind. That's why I went in the direction I did. It just automatically takes us into the wind. But so there's that buck out there and that doe is out there. Now, does can kind of be the bane of your existence because they're much more willing to walk up to a lure than bucks are. A lot of times they'll come in close before the buck even bothers to come close, and then they'll panic and it'll run the buck off. Okay, you see how I still got my little circle there? It means that he is still out there and I can hear him. I'm going to shift this way a little bit, hopefully to improve my view, and maybe, just maybe, we can pick him up on the binoculars now. The 243 that's issued in the game with the scope on it is zeroed in at 100 yards. So and that's pretty much you're going to find that most of your shots will fall right around 100 yards. It's probably about 120 yards across to that over there, but let's give another call. We just want to be patient. Oh, do you hear? You hear? Get a shell in the chamber here. I can hear one moving around very close to me someplace. Let's give another call. I like to try to keep about 30 seconds between the calls. If you call too often, you won't panic the deer, but they won't really move much because they'll know right where you are. Whereas if you do it about every 30 seconds, it's almost as though it's emulating the idea that since they hear you, then don't hear you again, they get curious and come looking. Where'd you go, guys? Up in there, huh? They're moving in very carefully. She can probably smell us now. So as she moves in, she's being super cautious. We want her to be more curious about the bleat call than anything else. She might be trying to flank us too. Sometimes they do that. They'll move to one side of you because they can smell you. Oh, there he was again. Let's mark him. And he is a muley. If we can manage to spot him, we could take him. That would be a pretty neat first hunt to show you guys, but you can see it's a very, very basic methodology. I'm trying to stay downwind of the deer, meaning that if the wind was blowing, I would smell them instead of them smelling me. Oh, I think that doe is going to walk up on us, though, too. I hear one really... Oh, maybe that is him coming that close. Okay, I'm going to lay right down on my belly. Hopefully I can still see. Let's give him another call. Keep him curious. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to see him from down here with this tall grass. I'll stay in my crouch. I'm going to bring my firearm up and just see if I might be able to see him down there through the trees now. Because if you look on our hunter mate, he's not much more, he's less than the length of our arrow out from us. That means he's within 50 yards. Come on, bud. I would love to be able to show just how simply and directly these tactics work. You're going to shift this way just a little bit and then call again immediately, because that's going to help me see whether that doe is cutting over to one side there. And I want to try to get a good sight picture on him when it's time to shoot. I don't want to have to just like throw the gun up and shoot. Oh, and there he went, I think. Was that him? Come on. Scope. I don't know if that was him or the doe that ran that way. But even though that deer just ran, we're still going to sit here for just a moment and just see. Because if that was the doe, the buck is still around, and we might be able to get him to snort again. But see, he smelled us, and that's the problem. I still hear one walking. There must be a sharper downward cut right on the other side of those bushes than I think there is. I think that's why I... Yep. Yeah, I think so. I thought that was flatter there. I thought we'd be able to see him through the bushes. He must have stayed down the hill. But as I said, even though the deer ran away, it's not a big disappointment, because it's going to allow us to very easily fulfill the very first of our missions. So I'm going to pull my hunter mate back out, and I'm going to try one more call. Oh, goodness me. What do I see? I think I may see a deer on the opposite slope. Let's see. No, it's a bush. The illustrators of this game did a wonderful job of making bushes that look like animals. But so, yeah, unfortunately, he appears to have startled. Now, it could be this buck is still right down the hill here, and I'm about to scare him off. So I'm just going to move up a little bit so we got a better chance of seeing something. Yep, that cut down much steeper than I thought it did. Oh, well, that was a misjudgment on my part. Now we're going to pause again, and I'm just going to call again, because you never know. That doe could still be right up the hill there. That buck could still be right down the hill here, because I'm not sure which of the two of them it was that ran. I think it was probably the buck, but we'll give one or two more calls. And just see if anything shows up on our hunter mate. Because even if he gets nervous and starts to move off when he was that close, we'd see it on the hunter mate. So he's gone. But that's okay, because what we're going to do now is we walk over here, and you see that bright pink blotch right there? Well, that bright pink blotch, I happen to have set that color as my custom color myself. But that blotch represents an animal sign, a track. And we're going to walk right over here. And as soon as we get our bleep and mark it, Mule Deer roaming, it says the animal that made this track made it just a moment ago, because you see the dark signs. Well, we know that because, of course, we were here when these animals started approaching. But basically now what we're doing is we are beginning to look for another one of those bright marks that we can walk up on, because all we've got to do is identify 3 of them, and we've earned our first mission. Now we know that the doe was coming and the buck was coming from up in here, so this is a really great area to just quietly walk up into. See, there's another one. So I'm staying down in a crouch so that I don't run off any animals. And there we go. Mission, track a mule deer completed. So now that we've done that, all we've got to do is manage to spot a mule deer, and we'll have another mission completed. And so it was as simple as that. And so I'm just going to just very gently and quietly walk along here and follow these tracks in the hopes that they'll lead us towards a field, and we can step out into the edge of that field, throw up our binoculars, and spot a mule deer. But I'm not seeing another track, and the reason why that is because my tracking skill is very, very low. Because these are literally the first tracks that I've read. And so we may not find another track. And that's just kind of the way it is sometimes when you first start out. But that's okay. Then we're going to turn back to our original route. We're going to start creeping along again. And we're going to just get ourselves oriented now that we know that we're headed again in the direction we want to go. Again, I'm just going to stand right up, and I'm just going to walk normally. Why? Because I stink to the high heavens and I'm shining like neon here in the woods. It means I'm not going to be able to hide from these animals without following some certain principles and me being close to them. So what this does again is this will cause either a buck or a doe to alert, and when they do, we pause and we start calling again. And this is the basic process we're going to use anytime we hear an animal make a sound. But in the meantime, while we're moving along, we're going to want to come out to these valleys as we see them and pause and, scope them, see if we see any animals down there. Lots and lots and lots and lots of checking out there, because you'll see one up in the edges of the woods moving quietly. But all we have to do is be close enough to one that we can hold it in our binoculars for a small amount of time, and we'll have successfully spotted him, and that'll have fulfilled another one of our missions. And then, of course, once it says that we've spotted the deer, then, of course, hopefully we can take our shot and fulfill our third part of our mission. Excuse me, I got a little bit of a hiccup there. Now I'm going to go to our big map again, and the first point that we're really moving towards is that lake right there. Okay, now down below, you see that red mark? We're actually now back on the tracks. These will probably actually be the incoming tracks of that buck. And it's okay because those tracks lead back to areas where other deer were, which means that as long as we move quietly, we will potentially be able to run into more deer. I'm hoping to keep this hunt relatively short. Alright, and so those deer were moving down into this valley. And I have a message coming in. Sorry about that, guys. Just confirming an appointment I have today. And I'm just moving along real quietly and carefully. Okay, now I'm going to pause. Hold on here. Now, let's swing back around. You notice there's no glaring track there. Watch when I highlight this. See? That track was not at all glaring, and it's because we actually walked right over the pile of poo. But you'll see that they're actually working their way down towards where we came from. But we're going to keep going this way because this lake is a hot spot, and very often we will encounter some very, very large mule deer there. But again, I'm just moving along, keeping my eyes open, using extra free look. And whoops, stop. What was that I just saw? That must have been just the way a couple of the flowers and things overlapped. It was very strange. It looked like I'm not sure what it looked like. That was very strange. I keep hoping to see Bigfoot in the game. I doubt they put him in, but I'd be tickled pink if one day I was scoping and saw Bigfoot in this game. Obviously, I'm a fan of Bigfoot. All right, now we're just gonna call and see if we can get a deer to respond to us. just right down here where the trees are so we don't stick a... Oh, there you go. Tab. And mark him. Wonderful. He is 100 yards out from us, going that direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to give a call. And we want to try to find a spot where when he comes in, we've got a good long view so that we can see him clearly and we don't run into the same difficulty we did the previous time, of course, which is that he got very close to us, but we couldn't see him because of the terrain. So I'm just going to ease my way over here a little bit, and I think this is probably going to work out best for us here from where he was. Yep, because that's his mark there. We get just a little more left. There we go. We should have a view of him when he comes down and through. Okay, I think this is probably going to be about as good as it's going to get for us. Just ease up a little bit more. Trying not to make too much noise, trying not to move too much, but we got to get where we can see him. Check the hunter mate, see if we see him sparkling at all still. No? Okay. Well, now we're just going to call. Okay? If you see the trees, see the leaves falling from the trees? The wind's really not doing much here. It's slightly towards us, so that's to our advantage. His smell is coming to us, not the other way around. Hopefully he'll show himself down there in that clear area, and we can spot him and take him. That would be pretty epic. Finish up the hunt in about 20 minutes and show you guys that it's not impossible. There he is again. Let's tab him. It is not impossible to hunt and take animals using just the basic equipment that's been given in the game. See, he keeps just out of our line of sight there. If I can get out of that big old tree there. There we go. I think now we're just going to try to hold it real still and just call to him. He's going to try to walk along the right-hand slope and angle up to us along the slope on the right side, whereas white-tailed deer prefer the low area and walking right at the bottom of low areas. Mule deer like to walk on the sides of the hills, and so we want to kind of keep an eye on that hillside. Come on, guy, give me one more call and then show yourself. Let's make this just purty. Come on. Get the glasses up and start eyeballing for him, because he's right down there someplace. He's about 70 yards out now, 80 yards maybe. We'll just keep scoping and calling, because you can, that last one, you can see how close he got with the wind in our favor. You can see how close he got before he realized we were there, and so we want to have those same kind of distances, except this time actually be able to see him, you know. But like I say, give it about 30 seconds between calls, because if we call too much, then he'll know right where we are and he won't care. I'm going to get down low now because he's got to be getting closer. Just got to figure out the right little spot to be here. Want to make sure that these bushes don't get in between us. Now, is that him down to the left of that tree? I can't quite tell. No, just a red patch of dirt. I thought that was him for a second. Where are you, Chumley? He's curious and he's coming to check. I heard something. Let's see if it's showing. Nope, nothing yet. Just gonna get my head down a little bit, because what that'll do is that'll get rid of that strong ambient light at the upper part of the screen that's causing things to kind of white out. Oh man, I hear We've got one right next to us here someplace. I'm using X to free look because that doesn't create as much motion or disturbance. X to free look, and as opposed to, you know, actually moving your whole person to look. Come on, dude, you were right there. Right down there. I wonder if he's trying to come up on the left side slope instead. I'm just going to kind of ease myself this way a little bit. He might be trying to come on this left-hand slope. I figured it'd be the right-hand slope because it's the sunny slope they like. There's a doe. And she's down there too. I mean, neither one of them is fine with me. But like I say, that's about, you can see, about twice the length of our arrow out there. So that's about 100 yards. If you give us one more snort. Okay, so she is right down in there. Probably right up that hill right there. Right up in there somewhere. Where are you? See. Mule deer buck. There he is. There he is. There he is, guys. There he is. There he is. There he is. Do you see him? Do you see him? Oh, come on. Show yourself again, pal, so we can spot you. I'll shoot if I have to shoot. There he is. Come on, spot him. Spot him. Spot him. We got him. All right, here we go. There he is, folks. There he is, folks. Now, we're not just going to go charging down there. Okay, we're not going to just go charging down there. We're going to take a moment because that doe doesn't necessarily know what that gunshot meant. So we give her another sound. She may come down that hill, or there may be another buck around. But I'll tell you what, we are pressed for time. I can't forget that. So I'm gonna just stand on up, and we're gonna go down, and we're gonna see. But there you go, folks. You can see it's a basic, straightforward methodology. If you don't understand what it is, just go back and watch again. We moved along fairly openly because there's just no, not much chance to cover our center or whatever. We stayed downwind from the deer. When we heard the deer, we took up residence. We spent our time calling, and when he came in, we gave it to him through the heart and lungs. And there he is. 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like he's an 8-pointer. There you go. I hit him a little far back because I couldn't quite tell what I was looking at the way he was in the bushes there, but he has a score of 144, which is respectable for a mule deer. And our trophy integrity is 100%, and our harvest value is 100%. Trophy integrity is, okay, were the horns and head damaged? No, okay. And of course, the harvest value is, did we damage the meat so bad that we wrecked a bunch of meat? The answer is no. And so you can see, body, stomach, intestine, not the most clean and perfect shot in the world. And I just missed my shot at my picture. I always do that. I forget. I exit and I forget. So I didn't even get a picture of my first mule deer. That's a bummer. But there you go. Achievement unlocked. 1/243 bolt action rifle harvest. And we, having completed the harvest of the mule deer, there it is. That's what I was waiting for. There is our third mission completed. That means by having tracked him, by having spotted him, and now by having harvested him, we have earned 300 of those GM dollars that we can now apply. And I will be picking up, as my next purchase, some wind indicator to help us with the wind. But in the meantime, I'm going to go. I will be back with another episode of this where we'll go out again. We'll pick up the supplies. We'll look at what the next missions are. We'll pick up the supplies we can get with the GM. And using that, we'll come on out and we'll hunt some more mule deer. I'll show you some other methods we can use to hunt them, and as we do and fulfill our missions step by step, I'm going to show you just how much mileage you can get out of this game in free mode. Alrighty, so thank you for joining me. Like I say, it may have ended up that I've got some trouble with my main account, but as a result, my misfortune is your good fortune. You get to see from login through how to take your first one and take advantage of those missions to start working towards getting yourself good gear. You guys have a good one, and remember, if you're gonna be a bear, be a grizzly.